first time I get to officially meet Shaina from a virtual perspective. So good evening, Shaina, and welcome to the show. We have the awesome Riley Knoxx back with us yet once again, one of our fabulous co-hosts. And we've got the better known as the doctor, but Dr. Rashan Broadnax is with us this evening as well. Good evening to you.
Good evening.
And we're certainly sitting in for Ernest tonight. We're certainly excited to have Tiffany with us this evening. So Tiffany, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So we're back for this particular episode. And as I said, it's been some time since we've been together. We know throughout this COVID experience, this worldwide pandemic, folks have been doing a lot of different things throughout time. Riley's become this great, amazing blogger on YouTube. What have you all been doing throughout the entire COVID experience? What types of things? So Riley, let's start with you.
Well, literally right before the lockdown, I made history as the first transgender woman ever to perform in the NBA at a halftime show. And then I did a concert, and literally the night of my concert, they shut down Celine Dion's show. So I was afraid they were going to shut mine down. I canceled an upcoming tour, and I thought, well, you know what? The way to entertain people is to just take it into my own hands. And so I've been on YouTube almost every day, just connecting with people and growing my YouTube channel, and it's going really well.
Outstanding. And how about you, Shaina? What's been keeping you busy during this time frame in quarantine?
Work. I've been doing a lot of working and a lot of eating. The funniest thing is this new COVID diet is going to have me crazy sick. Like, if my butt can get any bigger, I'm here for it. But as long as my stomach doesn't get bigger with it, you know. But Riley, your show at the Captain, it was crazy. When I tell you people were looking at me like I was a groupie, I was screaming. It was such a good show. I'm so proud of you. And I was up in the Sedity Bougie section, so people weren't even having as good of a time as me, but I didn't care. You looked amazing. Choreography was on point. Your team was awesome. I loved it. I can't wait to see you do more.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I can't wait to see you do more. So that's all I've been doing is work, and I'm working more than I was before. I don't know how that happened because business has slowed down.
Sure enough.
So I'm supposed to be relaxing, but I guess because I'm in town, people expect me to do all this stuff now. But I'll be grateful and thankful.
I know that's right. I feel that same way. I feel like I'm working more during this time frame. How about you, Rashad? How have things been going for your time throughout the COVID experience?
Things are actually going very well. So I, like Shaina, I am still working every day. I work for the National Gallery of Art. So while we are away from the gallery, we still have to do a lot of work to make sure that the gallery stays in tip-top shape. So that when we reopen, you know, the public will then again be able to enjoy it. And then aside from that, you know, my thing is we always have to have multiple streams of income.
That's right.
So what I've done is I've taken from going from the salon to my home and decided to make designer masks for people. So that has been a business that has just kind of like picked up and taken off really well. So I'm really happy about that, and that has supplemented my income from being in the salon.
And what a way to pivot in the midst of this particular pandemic. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Why don't we have masks? Riley, do you have masks? I didn't even say a mask. Do you have masks?
I don't have a Dr. Rashan Broadnax mask. I would love one.
I just want to say, you know, it's a pleasure to see you ladies because it's been so long since I've seen and talked to you. So, you know, we'll work that out on the back end.
Yep.
On the back end, I need it on the front end.
As we continue to talk, as I hear from you.
And let's also
friends. You always said the COVID, Byron. During COVID, we found out who's fake friends and who's real friends. People who we thought were our real friends, we realize now, Dr. Broadnax, they fake friends.
Look, and I can't say anything because I also make masks, Rashan, and I didn't send anybody anyone. So I'm supposed to.
I'm supposed to say that I was supposed to talk to Shaina on yesterday and last Wednesday, and that didn't happen. But neither here nor there.
Yeah. Well, good to hear from you. And Tiffany, let's also include you in the conversation. How have you been holding up, and what have you been doing throughout this entire pandemic?
I'm also still working, which I am very blessed and fortunate to be able to do. But the creative juices have really been picking up for me. I am now producing a podcast, and I'm working on some production and some animation projects. So I'm really, really excited about the future moving forward.
So I'm curious, do you all find that you're actually working more now, whether it's an independent project or a new business or an idea? Do you think you're really working now more than you typically would because you're at home in space and you have dedicated focus and time? How's that transition been? I know I feel like I work like all day, every day now, way more than I was when I was traveling and stuff. It's crazy. How about for everybody else?
Well, you know, for me, because I'm an entertainer, I typically don't work every day. I normally just do like a concert here, a show there, an appearance there, whatever. And it's crazy because I wear more makeup now every day than I do any other day. I've been shooting PSAs for different events, or doing like on-camera interviews, things that or pre-recording things that are going to show up later on in other events. And so I'm like, I'm working every day. I didn't get into the entertainment business to work every day. But for some reason, I found myself literally in front of a camera every day and in makeup every single day. And I'm like, God, I just thought I was going to be able to just veg out and watch TV. And I mean, I do a little bit of that, but I'm still waking up every day and having to work way more than normal.
Yeah. Rashan, you feel like you're working more since you're doing the mask and other activities outside of your normal salon?
I don't feel like I'm working more. My schedule was pretty much set before, and so one thing has kind of replaced the other. As many of us who are entrepreneurs, we know that our personal business never sleeps. So while I work for the gallery during the day, after I get off of there, I pick up my personal business, and that can go into the hours of the morning until I'm done. And so the mass business has kind of just fulfilled that time. So while I'm not with my clients, I'm actually still home. I do virtual calls with my clients, you know, for their hair care, kind of help making sure that they stay maintenance with a lot of different things, but then also doing the mask. So my time is pretty much still the same.
Yeah. And you, Shaina, are you actually working more?
I am. Yeah. I'm like, so, but what I find is that I'm catching up doing all the stuff that I kind of pushed to the side for the last few months while I've been out funning and sunning and traveling. I push everything to the side. So now I get a chance to play catch up. So hopefully I'll be ahead of 2020 because I'm still catching up on 2019. So
I know that's right. I saw this great meme that said, for everybody who kept saying, well, when I finally have the time, I'll clean up my place. And everybody has the time, and ain't no cleaning got done in most cases.
You know what? It's funny that you mentioned that because I just started it. Like I'm in the middle, if I pans around my room, you see it. I'm in the middle of maybe 3 or 4 projects at my house right now. So I'm doing a lot of remodeling. I'm doing a lot of different stuff so that when it's time to entertain, I'll be ready. Everything will be fresh and crisp and clean. So
we'll be looking for invites. Without a doubt.
Hey.
Tiffany, how about you? Do you think you feel like you're working more than you normally would? Because
I do. And not only do I feel like I'm working more, but I'm thinking and being creative more. I want to think outside the box now. I want to reinvent and recreate and really engage in different and creative ways. So I absolutely feel like I am working, thinking, planning, strategizing more than I think that I have in a very long time. And I'm really happy about this time to actually have an opportunity to do that.
That's awesome. And then I keep telling folks, in addition to people spending time with their loved ones and mates and possibly producing future children that'll be born, you know, some 7, 8, 9 months from now, it's one of those things that we all have all this extra time. It's like some people are pivoting, like each of you, to say, how do I build a new product? What new program am I working on to be ready and positioned? And I'm curious, since this has started for everyone across the entire country and around the globe, what's the one thing that you really miss prior to the pandemic and coronavirus that you just like, oh my God, I really miss being able to do this, or this one thing I really wanted and you just can't do right now?
I miss sitting at a restaurant, opening a menu and ordering a drink or ordering food or what. I miss brunch. Like I miss like hugging my friends, seeing my friends. It's freaking ridiculous. I miss personal contact, and I'm not a touchy-feely kind of person. I'm not really
That's
one of
surprising, right?
huggers. I can't stand it normally, but I'm like, oh, and it's just, and I feel like everyone, because I go for walks around my neighborhood, just like to look at all the like houses and everything, and just really get exercise because, as I told you guys before, I've gained a lot of weight. And everyone seems so much friendlier. Like they're really excited to see people, and just like other than who lives in their house, and they're just like. And I live in a very entitled part of DC. So normally the neighbors are not normally like so overly friendly, but they're all just like, and I'm just like, wow, I feel like this is in a way causing people to be kinder, and we miss each other. Like I miss sitting next to you guys and seeing all your fabulous shoes and everything. And we're sitting here, well, some of us are sitting here and not some fabulous shoes. But but I really just want to sit at a restaurant and order food. I'm dying to do it.
How about you, Rashan? What do you miss? What's the big thing you missed since the pandemic started?
I'll definitely have to agree with Riley that I do miss seeing my friends, but the one thing that I am so looking forward to, and I'm so afraid that we're going to miss, is the pool. I love being at the pool, and I am just terrified that summer is going to pass us by, wow. Able to do those things. So, I definitely miss seeing my friends, but I was so looking forward to going to the pool this year, and I'm afraid that we're going to miss it.
Let's hope not. But we'll see. How about you, Shaina? What have you been missing since the pandemic started?
Kind of everything that Riley and Dr. B just mentioned. I do miss going to restaurants, getting out, and I am an avid bruncher. Like Sunday brunches are my thing, and if I can sneak in a Sunday brunch and a Saturday brunch, I'm here for it. So between that and I like to travel, so I feel like I haven't been anywhere in forever. But I was able to sneak in one last trip, like at the end of January or early February. I was able to get out and get somewhere, but I feel like it's been years since I've gone anywhere. It feels like it's been forever, but the funniest thing is on Mother's Day, I went out to a family member's house and she hugged me. And I was like, oh my God, get away, like back off. Because like Riley said, I'm not a touchy-feely person. I wasn't expecting it. And then she did it twice in one visit. I was like, you done hugged me twice. I was like, get up off me. I just came to pick up some shrimp and grits. Like I was not coming for all this. I was coming for the food.
Yeah. And how about you, Tiffany? What have you been missing since the pandemic started?
I love eating out. That's my favorite thing. I really, really miss, eating out. I like to bar hop. I like drinking a little bit, so bar hopping is something that I really like to do. So I miss that. Also, I was planning my first trip to go back to the continent and in 2020, and that has obviously is gone now. Especially coming off of the year of return and all of that stuff. So that was really important for me to do. Since I wasn't able to do it in 2019, but I just book it in 2021. Let's go.
2021 is going to be a busy year, we hope. It's been really crazy. I know the biggest thing I think I miss is just travel out of necessity from a work perspective, but also just the sheer human interaction, to Riley's point, of being able to connect. I just miss, not everybody, but I miss the people that, the people that you want to see and touch and hear from, and you just can't roll up and be like, hey, you can see me from the window. That's about it, because I'm not chancing it. And mentioning that, I'm curious, we get all of this news cycle 24 hours a day. How do you feel about the information that we've been receiving from medical professionals about the state of things, specifically even in the DMV, but also across the country? What's your level of trust and belief around what medical professionals have been telling the broader public? Anyone?
I like to say that I'm more leaning towards believing Dr. Fauci than any of the others, because I think that the way that he talks and the way that he explains things is a lot better than even Dr. Burke, who I thought was okay.
Go ahead and say it.
A little suspect sometimes, but I prefer to listen to Dr. Fauci. 45 is definitely not anyone to listen to, so we'll see what happens.
And what were you gonna say, Shaina? How do you feel about what you have confidence in what you've been told by the media, or I should say by medical professionals specifically?
It's funny. It's been interesting because the whole time all this has been going on, every time I hear something, I'm like, oh, I wish we had this show. We need to talk about this foolishness on this show because
right now,
like Tiffany mentioned, Dr. Fauci, I'm here for it. Dr. Berg, I'm just looking at them scars. I'm just waiting to see what kind of scarf she gonna have on. I'm just like, because I'm here for the fashion, and if I could get the fashion and the health info, I'm here for it. But like Tiffany mentioned, Dr. Fauci, I think most Americans are following more of what he says, and we kind of trust in the information he's sharing, which is why they're trying to discredit him and change people's mindsets around believing and trusting in what he's saying. But ultimately, we got good common sense. And you can open up whatever you want to open up. I'm not going out there yet. I'm going to let that first round of people go out and let's see what happens to them. I'm going to pray for them, monitor it, and then I'm going to wait and see what happens. I ain't going out there.
You're going to look from a distance.
Dr. Fauci said don't go. Dr. Fauci said don't go. I ain't going.
Rashan, you feel that you have confidence in what you've been told or what you've been hearing from the medical profession?
I would have to, I totally agree. I have confidence in Dr. Fauci. Dr. Burke, I listen to the things that she says and, but I really lean more towards what Dr. Fauci is saying in terms of what my personal plans are, and like Shaina said, I plan not to be out when they release everything. And I've even talked to my friends that are in, some of the states where they have opened things like Georgia, when they said, oh, we're going to open up the salons and barbershops, I was like, girl, don't go. Do not go down there. Do not go get your hair cut because everyone who may have it, who is asymptomatic, is all going to be out there. So you're still at risk of contracting and you won't even know. And
that's exactly right. And that point is spot on. Even the notion of what people are telling you, and I'm like you, Shaina, just because they say it's going to open up, that don't mean nothing to me. Riley, you're incredibly media savvy. You've done tons of interviews across the country. I'm curious your thought in terms of even how it's being positioned to the public, because I'm sure you see it for what it is in a different way than other people are like, oh yeah, that's what they said. I've got to believe what they told me. But kind of what's your take on that? Because I'm sure you see it from a different perspective from where you sit.
I am not that gullible. And just like everyone has said already, I am nobody's guinea pig. So I'm not going to, just like Shaina said, I'm going to wait till everyone, see how this all works. But also to what Tiffany said, I definitely won't be listening to 45. I won't be drinking any bleach. So that's not happening. I think there's so many mixed messages and so much false information and so much, and you don't know what to believe. And it's just crazy. And I think the only thing that makes sense right now, that still makes sense, is to stay home. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. No matter how much I'm missing brunch, no matter how much I'm missing seeing my friends or whatever, I can't do it. I'm just not. And I'm not like I'm not someone that usually responds to when everybody's going crazy and like, oh my God, all the hype and all that stuff. And, when a lot of this first started happening, I was just like, it seems very convenient that it's an election year.
Right.
And I just was like, I'm just not falling for all of this. Like, I'm going to pick and choose who I listen to. It's sometimes kind of hard when you're watching it, which is why I sometimes tune most of it out. But yeah, but I'm absolutely nobody's guinea pig. And I see on social media all these people in Georgia and Florida and all these people out having parties and doing all this craziness. And I'm just like, I mean, it's one thing to just go out and just start like living your life again, but like you're in like droves, but nobody has a mask on. This is insane. And the number one thing I've been hearing, like a lot of people in the South saying, well, God got me, and God, like I'm prayed up and I'm covered in the blood of Jesus. No, honey. Like, Jesus
God
doesn't
gave
want
us
you.
good common sense. He gave us good common sense to do common sense stuff.
And to that point, I don't know if you all saw, there was a pretty prominent pastor in the state of Virginia who said, I'm going to keep having service. I'm going to disregard what they're telling us to do. And then 2 weeks later, he passed away. And his original phrase was, if the Lord wants to take me out, then he'll take me out. But I'm not going to listen to the government. And now he's, rest his soul, dead, gone, and buried. Literally. I'm curious too, Riley, you alluded to it, but I'm curious what other folks thought. Because I know there's Dr. Fauci, who gives medical advice and information, and then there's the broader political leadership, like Mayor Bowser in DC or Governor Cuomo in New York, or of course, I won't call him the president, I'll just say he's the occupant because he occupies the space on Pennsylvania Avenue. What's your confidence in politicians being able to be honest and thoughtful about what to encourage the public to do? Let's start with you, Rashan. I'm curious your thoughts.
Like I said, I pretty much put most of my thoughts behind what Dr. Fauci said. When it comes to the broader political base or the politicians, we are governed, I'll say in DC here, we have to go according to what Mayor Bowser sets forth. Hopefully she looks at and she takes her direction from somebody that's credible like Dr. Fauci, which I think that in large part she has. Just most recently, she decided to extend the stay. And I think that is based off of the information that she's hearing on that end, that it's still not quite safe, as though we may want to come out and take part in all these things. It's still not yet the time. And I think that she's been very good at putting the citizens first, even from the beginning when I started noticing when she said, I will fine people for being outside. It's not what I want to do, but don't think that I don't have the power to do it, and don't think that I won't do it. So she kind of set that stern foundation from the beginning that, listen, this is not a game. Y'all want to go out and have cookouts, or y'all going to get the fine. Y'all want to do all.
She shut the wharf down. She said, oh no, not here on my
watch. In a hurry.
You know what? And so, but the thing that I love about that is she shut it down, but she also allowed it to reopen with the proper guidance and restrictions. So when you go out there now, it's like unbelievable. Like you will pull up and say, wow, it's such a long line. It really isn't. But the way they have it so organized for people to be back to back has been, impeccable in my opinion. And I live very close to there, so I go there very often, and I see it. But even from there to the grocery stores, the way the things that are still open have taken on, and they have also gone on with the social distancing and the guidelines, has been amazing to me. And
but no, I'm not really following so much what the politicians are saying, because I ultimately think that they have their own motives. I get that their key focus is to get the economy back up and running. I'm a small business owner myself, so I understand. I want to get the economy and businesses up and running as well, but I also want people to be safe and healthy. I want there to be more people, more Americans around to frequent my businesses over the next 10, 15 years, as opposed to having a couple of people be able to get out now and then they die off. So I'm not really paying attention to that piece of it. I'm really focusing on that good old common sense element that was placed in my soul to say, sit it down and wait. Sit still and wait.
And Riley, you told us how you felt about the occupant in terms of his response, but curious your thoughts. You believe the rest of the political leadership? Like, do you follow the mayor's advice?
Yeah, I definitely think that Mario Bowser is doing everything that she can, and she's very smart and level-headed, and I have a lot of faith in her, so I'm happy about that. The great thing about the silver lining in this situation is everyone's in the same situation. So you're not missing out on anything because nothing's going on. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Everybody's stuck.
it's not like you're the only one in the house. So I feel good about that. I'm not missing out on anything by staying home, you know? And something came to mind what Dr. Broadnax said about the grocery store. Going to the grocery store right now is a whole different experience. It's just, I mean, just even like when you go to the checkout, while you're standing in line, like it's just a new experience. Like I'm just, it's great, but it's just necessary. But it's just like, I mean, I don't know what we're gonna look like on the other end of this. You know, just even getting in the elevator of my building is a different experience. Someone else gets on, it's like, first of all, I've never been one of those people that touch the buttons anyway. I just don't do that. And I've always been like a crazy, like my hands are always dry because I'm always washing them, but even more so now. And it's just insane to me. Like you know, but I'm happy that, like I said, the silver lining is that we're all in the same situation right now. Everybody's at home. You're not missing out on anything. So just, you might as well just do what they're saying, which is stay home.
Yeah, nobody's missing a fabulous brunch right now unless they're having it in their house. So you're exactly right. And Tiffany, what's your thought in terms of the political response? Do you have confidence in the political leadership right now and what they've been telling?
Actually, I don't. And not only do I not have confidence at 45, of course I don't have confidence at 45, but you know, any of these states that are deciding to open up at this particular junction, even if it's a partial open, like Larry Hogan wants to partially open Maryland. You know, the openings in Georgia, Florida, Texas. I know that the media and other people have spun it to be more of a Black disease and more impactful of the community. And that has fostered, in my opinion, has fostered a lot of the rallies and these people going to the state capitals and all this, because they're feeling like, oh, it's only some Black people that are only going to get it. That is what precipitates a problem to me. And when political leaders respond to that pressure by partially opening or semi-opening or kind of want to sort of open, then yeah, no, next.
No. And you're exactly right. I spent my time between Seattle, Washington, and D.C., and I left Seattle on February 29th. And I tell people, they're like, oh, no, now it's only people of color. I'm like, you can say that Seattle is mostly white, and then Asian, and then Hispanic, and then Black. And those were almost like 100%. I think the number was like 90% of the deaths in the state of Washington were white in those first 6 weeks. And I'm like, y'all can say what you want to, and you can say they're old people. Now we see young people. I have zero confidence in the administration from a federal perspective, with the exception of Dr. Fauci's advice and guidance. But I certainly believe Mayor Bowser has done an amazing job from the DC perspective. I live in Prince George's County, and what the county executive has put out, it's almost like, oh my God, we hear from Angela Alsobrooks, like I get a text every day.
Text almost every day, exactly, yes, yep.
Almost, like this is too much. So we were talking about how life has been in the pandemic, and there are a whole host of ideas and feelings about political leadership, about what we've been hearing from medical professionals. I'm curious, since all of you had time with yourself, and maybe whomever you've been locked down with, but I'm curious to know what you've learned about yourself throughout this period of time. Shaina, you want to start?
You know, it's funny. I learned that I am an official fat ass. Let's start with that. I learned that I'm undisciplined, and I love working out. That is my thing. So I still get my workouts in, but I know I can't outwork this bad diet that I got going on. So I've learned that I've got an 800-pounder living inside of me.
What's her name? What's her name?
Rita. I'm just sitting right here, Ruben. Like, I'm just sitting here, and it'll just be like, get some cookies. And I'm like, I'm about to get some cookies. This is like, I got to feed the inner me. Like, I'm just watching TV, minding my own business, and my stomach is starting to growl. Like, they're talking to each other. I'm like, I just ate. And it's I got an 800-pounder just up in here crawling out. Feed me more, like constantly.
Okay. Hilarious. How about you, Riley? What have you learned since you've been at home and been locked down?
I have learned that I am much more patient than I ever thought I was. I am. I'm not typically a patient person, but for some reason, when you have no choice and you're forced to be patient through all of this,
Right.
I really am. I have no concept of time anymore. What is a clock? What is an alarm clock? What is time is, I don't know. And it's really crazy because right now, like the sun doesn't go down until like completely down until it's almost damn near 10 o'clock. So it's
Right.
like, it's just crazy. But I also, I think before the pandemic, I had been moving around and doing so much and doing all these things. And I'm just learning to just sit still and just, and do, I'm happy with doing nothing sometimes, even though like I've said, I've been doing a lot at home.
Yeah.
But I'm fine. I don't feel like, oh, I don't have so much pressure on myself anymore to, if I didn't get something done, because there's always tomorrow and the next day and the next day and because it's just never ending. So yeah, I'm much more patient than I ever thought that I would ever be.
Yeah, I think a lot of people learn to kind of just slow down and just chill and take a minute. Tiffany, how about you? What have you learned throughout this process about yourself?
You know, I've always been introverted, so being at home and kind of has never been a problem for me. But I realized that I'm really kind of missing my family and my brother specifically. And I kind of just want to, give my brother a hug, and I just miss him. So that's what I've learned the most at this point.
And Dr. Broadnax, our scholarly individual, what have you learned sitting at home and being on lockdown during this corona?
I think one of the best things, in my opinion, for me, was a boost of confidence that people trust my judgment. So being in the beauty industry, this has been like a major setback for many of us. Many of the stylists who are not able to work, many of the salon owners and barbershop owners who are not able to employ and keep their businesses running. And then kind of maneuvering through all of that, like, what do we do? How do we end up keeping our businesses? How do we secure grants, in order to do all these things? And so once it kind of started, when I started to receive certain calls from like friends, I was like, oh, okay, let me help them out. But then as the calls started really coming in, it was like, people really trust my judgment and my opinion, which was great for me because I always, I look at what I do as, it's no big deal. And I had someone tell me once, they were like, you see it as no big deal because you do it every day, but other people look at it as something different. And so just to have that boost of confidence, but to be able to help people through, to feel like that I have a part in helping people throughout this and keeping their businesses, keeping their jobs, has been a great thing for me.
Yeah. I'm curious, this brings about different types of emotions for different folks at different stages. When we first got locked down, people felt one way. Now things are getting somewhat better, or we're falling into this new normal. I'm curious, what on a scale of, let's say, 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest, what's been your level of anxiety throughout this entire process? How about we start with you on this one, Riley? Your level of anxiety, 1 to 10, throughout the experience.
My level of anxiety, I'll be honest with you, has not been that high. I mean, I am a little bit worried about the state of the world, so I'd say like 8. Wait, no,
Okay.
8 being the highest. Wait, 10 being the highest?
10 being higher.
Oh,
yeah,
no. Sorry. No, it's probably been maybe like a 4.
Okay. All right. Now, Shaina, you drinking that wine, so I'm curious for you. Does that mean it's a 1 or a 10 for you?
Yeah, it's definitely 4 or below. I have not, like Riley, this has been great. This has been the perfect time to kind of just relax. I may be a little anxious about how much weight I've gained when it comes, like if they let me out this summer, it's over. Like I'm not going to be in half of the swimsuits that I bought prepared to be ready to be out in, but that's my only anxiety. But that don't mean it's not going to make me stop.
I hear
I'm gonna
that.
stop eating cookies and I ain't gonna stop drinking. But it's been the perfect relaxation vacation. Stop that, Dr. B. This has been the perfect time to just kind of decompress, relax with myself, be in my own space, and just do the things that I wasn't doing before.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah. And how about for you, Rashan? From a 1 to 10, how much anxiety have you felt?
I would say for my personal situation, it's been really low. But for a lot of people that I talk to, they can take my anxiety through the roof, like really quick. I think, like we discussed earlier, or like Tiffany said, you're very thankful to be working, and
right.
as am I. But then when I talk to people who are not working, who are like seriously concerned about, how am I going to keep my rent? How am I going to keep my business? Those kind of things I really do start to internalize and worry about, because it has made me look specifically at my industry totally different, and the things that we need to do to kind of safeguard ourselves from any type of industry disruptions in the future. Because it may not be a pandemic, but we don't know what's going to be coming down the line.
That's
now,
right.
Because I'll tell you, I never thought that I couldn't even imagine what was a pandemic. That was the first time I heard the word. And so to imagine that you are, completely shut down and you are working from home, to me was just totally crazy.
Yeah. And Tiffany, how about you? Level of anxiety, 1 to 10?
My personal, like the doctor was saying, my personal anxiety is not high. Like I said, I'm naturally an introvert, so being at home doesn't really bother me. But for the community as a whole, and particularly the Black community, and seeing the struggles that we as a community are going through, when I talk to people that are essential workers that are like, I'm really scared, that is more elevated. But for myself and for my immediate family, we'll be fine.
Yeah, it's
I love hearing her say, like the doctor said, like the doctor said. I was like, yes, man, like the doctor said. Come on, Dr. Fauci.
Because it makes us legit. That's right.
It just flowed. I love the way that sounds. Yes, doctor.
But it's so true. And I was just going to say, because even from my own experience, I think I had high anxiety when it first happened. I literally was in Seattle, and I can recall my mom saying, there's a case there. You need to leave immediately. And I'm like, okay, I'm looking at this, and I've talked with people in Asia. So I'm like, this is going to be worse than whatever they say. And I went to a conference in Atlanta. I left Seattle on February 29th. I will not forget. Went to a conference in Atlanta. Told my staff there, we're working remote going forward. I'm going to my house in Maryland, and until further notice, that's what we're doing. After I made that decision and got home to Maryland and settled in my house, I was like, I went from a 10 to like a 1, because I'm like, these are things that are beyond my control. And I can focus on the things I can control, where I go, who I see, who I allow in my space. Once I realized and could manage that, things were much better. But that notion that a couple of you mentioned around how the rest of the community is faring, people who are not working, or people who got a stimulus check or didn't get a stimulus check, and you realize $1,200, it seems like it's a lot. Not if you live in DC, or if you live in Seattle or New York, like $1,200, you get to 2 weeks and that's gone by the time you got groceries.
That's barely rent payment. Yeah.
You can't even pay your rent with that.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know anyone who lives in DC whose rent is $1,200. Like that, I don't know nobody I know. Like that, unless you have roommates.
There's somebody in Maryland, honey. They gave you $1,200 to go buy some crabs. That's all you could do with that. You supposed to go buy some crabs.
And it's over.
Get you a bottle of something and get some crabs. That's all.
That's about it.
$1,200 was off.
Now, I was just curious a little, since we got the fashionistas and our fashion designers, 2 of us on this. I'm curious, you mentioned earlier, Rashan, about masks, and then a couple of my colleagues, Riley and Shaina specifically, were like, we didn't get them from you all, but we'll work on that. I think we both gonna solve it. I'm curious your thoughts, because a lot of people are turning this crisis into an opportunity. And you can see masks that are ranged from $10, depending upon the design, all the way up as high as $250 for one mask. I'm curious your thoughts about that in terms of designers or people who are, I don't want to say turning this opportunity into a different situation, but they're definitely taking advantage of the moment in time. What's your thoughts about someone that's turning around saying, I've got a fashion designer mask for $250? What are your thoughts about that?
First of all,
I absolutely love it.
okay.
I love it. I want the $250 mask, but I only want to pay $10 for it, though. But that's the thing.
I mean, I'm right with you, Shaina, because I look at it as, first of all, everybody does not have an entrepreneurial mindset. And so we have to take, those of us who do, we take current situations, no matter what they may be, good or bad, and we turn them into a business, into an opportunity. For me, I didn't want to do this. And I was like, the last thing I want to do is pull out a sewing machine. But I thank God for my mother, who was like, you need to do this. And I was like, yeah. She was like, no, you need to do this. And because of her, I started. And now I just look at every day I'm at the post office sending off packages.
Yeah, that's right.
So, even though I thank God for the gift to be able to create, Riley does the same thing, can take a vision and create a beautiful garment, so I think we all have it. You just have to figure out how to hone that, especially in times like this, to really figure out what can I do with the gift that I have.
Okay.
And so in terms of that $200 mask, I'm here for it.
Okay.
Because nobody can tell you what your value is on your product.
Yeah, it's just like some people wear some people wear, $50 shoes, and some people wear $200 shoes. It's whatever you want to do. Some people wear $800 shoes or $1,000 shoes on this. But anyway, so there's a lot of
hurt my feet.
It's an accessory, because I know some people that love accessories. So hey.
Yeah, Tiffany, you have any thoughts?
I disagree. I just feel like, and I'm gonna say it like this: the community has, because that's my focus. The community has over $1 trillion in spending power, but we always are using it so poorly. Like $250 for a mask when your stimulus check is only $1,200. You know what I'm saying? So
these people make the one buying the mask.
So you're gonna buy a mask for $200 and then not be able to eat.
Now.
So I
don't think it's those people.
I can't.
I don't think it's those people.
I was going to say,
it's not those people.
I don't think it's the people who only are getting their stimulus that are going to spend that. It's the people.
You'd be surprised. You know how we do.
We know.
How
they deserve it too.
Be surprised.
But I think in large part, it's going to be the people who are like, I haven't missed a beat.
Well, I haven't missed a beat, and I could afford a $200 mask, and I'm still not going to buy a $200 mask.
That mask, I called out to you yet.
Yeah, I get it. I've seen people.
I guess that means you're not going to buy a $10,000 handbag either.
No, ma'am, I will not.
Right.
No, I will not.
We're talking about
I'll be the type of chick that'll have $1 million in the bank and will have a Toyota.
Listen, I'm here for that. I'm here for that.
Yeah, I'm here for it, and it's personal preference. You can't dispute taste.
Exactly.
Oh, and
we just ain't got to eat the same shit.
That's my Jay-Z. What you eat don't make me shit. Yes.
Yeah. So, I like a cookie, but if it's nasty, I ain't eating it. So you just can't force feed me either.
Oh Lord.
I like it.
So we talked about this a little bit earlier. I'm curious. I think Riley was talking about how if you go to the grocery store, how social distances are set up, and they've got lines and boxes and all these arrows depending on where you are. How do you all feel about the people who defy the social distance? Like the people who are on the beaches, the people in Chicago who 1,000 people went to a house party, 2 people with masks on. How do you feel about those folks who some say are endangering the broader public, and other people say they're just trying to live their best life while they can? What are your thoughts about that?
Well, you know what? While I will not stop somebody and be like, why'd you have on a mask? Like, I'm just not that girl, because that's not my business. Just don't come too close to me. That's all I'm saying. Like, don't come too close to me. Whatever you want to do on your own, if you want to be stupid enough to do that on your own or not wear a mask, whatever, just don't come close to me. Don't come in my, stay 6 feet away from me. That's all.
Okay. Anybody else? How about you, Shaina?
Yeah, I'm here for people doing what they want to do in their space with their lives. Now, when you come within this 6 foot spacing here, the 6 foot distance is mine. I own all of this real estate. It's 6 feet this way, this way, this way, and that way. So, ooh, get that, Riley. Throw it back, boo. Yeah. So when you come into this here section, it's going to be a problem because I don't want none of that in my space. You can have, I'm here to even watch you enjoying being on top of each other. You guys have as much fun over there. Just don't bring it over here. I'm going to cheer it on. Get it, get it, get it, get it. Don't
I love
leave it away
love
from here.
Rashan, how about you? You feel you have issues with folks that are not following the social distance guidelines that are established?
Listen, I'm right with Shaina. I'm here for it. If I want to watch you enjoy yourself and live your life as many days as you may have left, I that promised me, and I'm going to abide by the guidelines. So you can stand on top of each other at the grocery store. But that's why I love my fam, because I'll turn around and smack you with it and then say,
oh, I heard it open.
You should have popped that. And what about you, Tiffany? How do you feel about folks who violate social distance guidelines?
You know what? I feel like D.L. Hughley said it best. You do you, but make sure that when you get sick, you don't coming over here acting like, oh, you know, we want to be they need all this medical care and all this extra stuff. Mm-hmm. You made the decision to be out in the street. We've made the decision to stay at home. You pay the cost for the consequences for your decisions, and don't put that on me.
Yeah. Well, in that same vein, I'm curious what you all think about people who are literally battling their local governments, either local or state, to reopen. So you see the people in Texas or the people in Michigan who stormed the state capitol saying, please, you got to reopen. I'm down here in North Carolina, and they had folks that literally sued the city just because they wanted access to the beach. And they actually won because of how their property is situated. But how do you feel about people who are literally taking on government saying, no, you're going to reopen. We demand that you allow us to operate?
I think people need to look at who's taking on government. Who are those people that are doing that? What are they carrying with them? Confederate flags, nooses, all kinds of other things that are being propagated. Fox News is drawing them into this. I see you. And when you get sick, I'm not footing that bill either. You the ones that didn't want no Obamacare. You the ones that didn't want to extend Medicare. You got that. Handle that.
And what do you think, Ryder? What do you think about people that are taking on local government or the federal government trying to get people to reopen quicker than they should?
Let them spend their money and waste their money suing and doing all that. That's just the dumbest thing. It's not like it's not like we're shut down just because it's cute. You know what I mean? It's for a reason, you know? And then they're just like Tiffany said, they're the first people crying, you know, like when they get sick, like all this, I don't want to hear it. Like, you get sick, that's on you. Like, it just doesn't make any sense for people to try to fight the government. They're not going to open it up for you just one person or a handful of people.
That's right.
It's crazy. It's nuts.
So the weirdest thing about it is, because I was watching today, and it looks like, I think it was in Wisconsin, they overturned it. Like their local Supreme Court or whatever overturned the government's decision. So everything was back open again. But when you think about it, what the population in Wisconsin looks like, right? They're gonna get that happening. But when you look at the numbers, they're not the ones dying in record numbers.
Yes.
So they're
not dying yet.
Well, they're not dying yet, and I don't think it's designed that way for them to be the ones dying. Like this thing has a situation. It is grasped on to us, people of color. So Blacks, browns, Asians. It's us. We're the 80 percentile that's dying of this COVID-19. So the numbers for white folks is so low. Oh yeah, and the Indians too. It's getting the Indians too. That's what's bringing the number up. But the number for white people in this country is very low. So they know that. They're seeing it. And it's not that they're not being exposed. They're staying away from us. They're congregating with each other, and they feel that they're safe. And if you look at the numbers, it almost feels like it's true because they're not either getting it, but they're not dying. So yeah, they want stuff opened up so they can go back to making their money the way that they're used to making money. And it's because if we weren't dying, if we were looking at the numbers and we weren't dying, we would want things to be back open too, so that it can be business as usual.
And I was curious, Rashan, so you're a business owner, you've been directly impacted. How do you feel about folks who are saying, no, I should have the right to open up whenever I want, regardless of what the state or the federal government is saying? What's your take on that as well?
I have a very, I'll say peculiar take on that, because I'm fine with the business owner that wants to open their business, because it's up to each individual to decide whether or not they're going to take part. So every store could be open. Shaina's store could be open. That don't mean I have to go in there.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? If I believe that it is for me to stay safe, and the only way that I'm going to stay safe is to stay home and keep myself away from masses of people, I'm going to do that. So I think that it's fine if people want to open, but it's up to the individual to say, I'm going to take my personal health in my hands and make sure that I stay safe. And so, like you said, with those who are, we're looking at the numbers and we say, these populations are experiencing the deaths a lot in greater numbers. I think that's because, like you said, Shaina, it's designed that way. When I thought about it, I said, we have to think who lives in tight quarters. So you have the African-American community is tight, the Asian community is tight, the Hispanic community lives tight, the Indian community lives tight. It's in the more Caucasian communities where they're a little more spaced out, and I kind of thought about that when this kind of first happened, because I wanted to go to where my parents live, because they live in an open space. They have no issue. They're not even worried, because they're like, there's nobody up here, So I wanted to go, and I was like, that's ideal. If we could all live like that, like the Midwest does, they have all that space. They're not going to experience it. And that's why when we look at where the large numbers are, we have great numbers along the East Coast, along the South. But when you look at the Midwest, the numbers are dramatically lower because they're not in close quarters. So,
and they're not big travel hubs. I'm sure people go to Oklahoma, but they're not going to Oklahoma at the same rate that they go to Atlanta or Chicago or Houston.
That's why New York is suffering so much.
Yeah. Oh my God, New York it's been catastrophic. Without question, Riley, you're exactly right. Shifting gears, so there's a popular segment that we do called I Speak. I want to give you all a chance to see what topics are top of mind for you that you want to speak out on for our conversation before we start wrapping up for our discussion today. Who has the first I Speak?
I really appreciate how the dating apps have taken and said, we want you guys to stay home. How they have, along with a lot of other companies, they have given us all these things, just so that we will stay home. They have unlocked all their locked secrets. We've gotten free, movies, all these things to kind of help us. And I said, I really appreciate that these big companies are doing their part to kind of help us stay in. So that's
Tinder has a disclaimer that whatever behavior happens offline, they are not liable for it. So
all of them,
you meet somebody and they're crazy and whatever, even not during the pandemic, you meet someone that's crazy, they're not responsible for that. What you do once you get off that, once you change numbers and you're off that, they're not liable for that.
If I get pregnant, I'm blaming them.
Great point.
Wow.
Well, I have an I Speak.
Come on with
it.
Riley's gonna love this one, because I have to go back to I think last season and the season before, for this I speak, because my new obsession is Kim Kardashian.
Oh God.
When I tell you, I have grown to be fond. Right. I can come back and change my mind. I'm a Gemini. But when I'm now listening to the things that she's doing with prison reform, I am so much a fan now. Like because I'm here for a girl that's cute and smart.
Her makeshift
And I don't care what degree you got. You don't even have to have one. As long as you got a good heart and you're willing to help people and be there for your community and other communities, because I find that she's helping people that she doesn't have to help.
Right.
And no one's expecting her to do it. And she's not doing it for credit, because there were people that she's helped before it even became public.
Absolutely.
And that is what I really love about her.
Yep.
I don't know about the Keeping Up with the Kardashians, because I'm not watching that. I don't watch that.
Baby, I was going to chime.
But honey, this Kim K, I'm here for it. I got like 4 Skims I done bought. And honey, let me tell you.
Those Skims are everything, are they not? They suck. Oh my God. Even
those
tank top.
Those Skims are everything. So I realized that she's got something even deeper, in a sense that she saw an issue based off of life's experience, and she solved and corrected problems.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm like, that's kind of who she's growing into becoming.
Yeah, and here's my thing. What is having this platform, whether it be the way you look, the way your family is, all that, what is having a voice if you do nothing with that voice? Because I say that all the time. The first 10 years of my career were dedicated to me just being pretty on stage and, being like Beyonce impersonator, all that other stuff. And then I realized, okay, so now you have a voice, you've got people's attention. What are you going to do with that? What are you going to say? What do you have to say now that you got everybody's attention? And it happens with so many people, whether it be Lady Gaga or, with all the crazy costumes, after you strip all that away and when you've got everybody's attention, What do you have to say? And that's sort of a trick that we as entertainers use, where, we are known for one thing. And just like even with Oprah started out with just a talk show, and she said that my real job is awakening everyone to a higher consciousness, even though it just looks like I just get to be on TV and do makeovers and do all this other stuff. Right. But that's the way that it starts off. And I feel like the same way with Kim Kardashian or anybody, it's just you have to find your thing. Like I say to people all the time, my thing is on a stage, but find your stage,
That's very well said.
What is having this notoriety? What is having everybody know your name if you're not going to do something with that name? You're not going to do something to help somebody else.
That's very well said, Riley. How do you actually utilize your platform, regardless of what that is or how big or small, to actually impact the greater humanity? That's absolutely awesome.
Even if you are known for taking off your clothes. Even if you're known for taking off your clothes.
Take them off. Take them off.
Take them off. Naked selfies to the day I die. That's what she said.
Well, this has been a fascinating discussion as we talk about COVID, coronavirus, the pandemic, and how life has been for all of us. I'll leave it to each of you for closing thoughts before we wrap up our episode tonight. Let's start with you, Rashan.
Well, I would just say, I'm so happy that we're back here together. And I hope that everyone does what they feel is in their best interest and stay safe. Do the things, really tap into what your heart's desire is during this time, because we have nothing but a little bit of time. And I think this is the perfect time to do that. So find your thing that you've always wanted to do and try to do it during this time, because we'll never know if we'll have it again.
Awesome. And how about you, Tiffany? What's your closing thought for tonight?
Stay safe, stay healthy, and fight for the community, because we need it. The diaspora needs all of your support and attention, not just here, but on the continent as well, where they're trying to do crazy testing on African people, and we don't want to do that again like they did it with HIV.
Outstanding. How about you, Shaina? Final thought for the evening?
That's not a wine.
Shayna's like,
I'm not going to give the final thought that I had in that moment. Let me think of that different one. Yeah, no, oh, if I gave that thought, Tony would never invite me back, but he wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, just.
I'll have what she's having.
She hasn't even had it yet. Or she done already had hers. Okay. No. I'm going to piggyback off of what the good doctor said, what the good Reverend Doctor said. This is the perfect opportunity for people to pivot. What I have found is that people who didn't even notice that they had an entrepreneurial spirit, they're starting their own businesses. They're doing things that they never imagined that they could do, because sometimes pandemics push you. These are the types of things that kind of push us, because that little nudge, that little thing in the back of our minds wasn't necessarily working. So now you're forced into doing something that you probably should have been doing anyway. So I just pray that everybody uses that as an opportunity for them to do that extra, be that extra, grow beyond what they thought imaginable. And then also get out there and buy yourself a $250 mask. Because you deserve it. You deserve it. You don't know when the opportunity is going to come back again. You can drop dead tomorrow, and you don't want to have any regrets. I'll call you tomorrow, doctor, so we can design some.
I love it. I love it. And Riley, how about you? What's your thought for the close out?
What is there left to say? I mean, I definitely agree with everything everyone else has said already, especially what Shaina said. Things like this is where we grow as a people, personally and as a people. And I feel like, this is a perfect opportunity for people to find some kind of growth, whether it be in an entrepreneurial way or whether it be in a spiritual way, getting in tune with yourself. And I would urge everyone to do something for yourself every day. I mean, you should be doing it anyway, but especially when you're spending so much time with yourself and your thoughts, we can get so wrapped up in what's on the news or the fact that we can't go outside. But do something for yourself that makes you feel good, even if it's just an outward thing, like doing your hair and makeup, even though you're not going anywhere. Because when you look good, you're going to feel good. And when you feel good, you're going to do more and do better. And you're going to work harder to have a full life. And it's very important that we maintain a life throughout all of this. So all of that.
Absolutely. So you've heard it here. Huge appreciation. We want everybody to continue to be safe. Thank you, Riley, Shaina, Dr. Broadnax, and we want to certainly thank Tiffany for stepping in tonight. This has been the shortest commute for the show ever. No DC traffic whatsoever. And for folks
Byron, what is your final thought?
You want me to offer a final thought? Well, my final
I do want you to offer a final thought.
My final thought would be similar to yours, in that I would hope that folks would utilize this time, whether it's a skill, a trade, a certification, a class, a business, a book, an idea, a show, whatever you've been percolating in your spirit, you have time and space right now to focus on that. There's no excuse saying, I don't have the time because I'm too busy, I'm working 2 and 3 jobs. Right now, people have time to focus unlike any other time. That would be one thought. And my second would be, make sure you value the connection for human interaction and engagement. I love my devices, I love technology, but we also learn right now in this moment, many folks realize I've been too attached to these devices. I just want to get out and see and touch the people that I care most about. So that would be my hope for people. That would be my other thought, is that we really focus on human interaction when we get on the other side of this pandemic. And we will get on the other side. There's no question about that. So again, we want to.
Now I have a final thought, and this is for Tony. This is for Tony, because he said in the same sentence, Byron just said time and percolating. So I'm gonna need you to put somewhere in there. It's time for the percolating. You don't own the rights to the music, but I'm gonna need you. Hey, do it so he can have it.
Consider it done.
It's time for the percolating. It's time for the percolating. Yeah, I'm gonna need that to get put in there somewhere. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I'm not old enough to know that.
Final thought before we go. It's just that I would say that one thing that would be really helpful is if we check on each other, because everybody's not doing as well as we are. You know, we've spent an hour just laughing and having a great time, and that is largely in part because we have not seen each other. But we have to think about those who really are isolated. One thing that I've noticed, there are so many people who have nobody else.
You're right.
So if we just take a moment to check on those people, because I think in this time, we're going to start to see the development of a lot of mental health issues. They're going to start to really surface. And
That's right.
Part of our interaction may help diminish that for a lot of people. So I would say just check on your friends, family, a stranger neighbor, anybody, anybody I'm sure would appreciate it during this time. That's my final thought.
No, I love it. That's very well said. So we want to thank Riley, Shaina, Tiffany, Dr. Broadnax. We want to remind folks who are viewing this evening, you can certainly catch the show on YouTube channel, both this one, but you can also catch previous episodes. Go to We Speak _ the talk show to make sure you're viewing. We want to make sure that you not only like, but also subscribe and offer your comments. And as always, we thank you for watching and ask that you join us again when next we speak.
Hey, did we bore you?
No, I've been right here. I want to thank you.
I need to take something off.
Oh,
Okay. I want to thank you all.
This show is so much better with alcohol.